Tatooine was once completely covered with water. It's fascinating, actually. The sands have belonged to the Tuscans since the oceans dried. Those two lines of dialogue were given in the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. Let's explore that. Quote, "Long ago, Tatooine was covered in oceans and rainforests, but for unknown reasons, it became a hot desert world." Close quote. This is a canon description, and it's pretty much identical to the Legends timeline description. Legends history says, quote, "Tatooine was once a lush world that had large oceans and a world-spanning jungle inhabited by the native and technologically advanced Kamoomga," close quote. The Kamoomga can also be found in canon, but in much smaller form. In the Choose Your Destiny series, specifically the audiobook titled An Escape Mission, it says, quote, "Of course, if you believe the legend of Leon, Tatooine was once covered by lush jungle, the domain of the Kamoomga, although little evidence has been found for their existence." Close quote. So there's a lot of legends and canon spit swapping. That sounds gross. I should have phrased it differently. When it comes to Tatooine, Legends goes deeper into the why of things, which should not come as a surprise. There's a lot more darts thrown at the wall when it comes to Legends, and the Legends timeline has had decades and decades and decades to build upon itself. Now, with regard to the Kamoomga and the reason for Tatooine's climate change, Legends says, quote, "In 25,793 BBY, the Rakatan Infinite Empire invaded the planet, conquered and enslaved its native inhabitants, and then abducted many to their other conquered worlds. After a terrible plague weakened the Rakata, the Kamoomga eventually rebelled and managed to drive the Rakata off the planet. In response, they, the Rakata, subjected the planet to an orbital bombardment that glassed the planet and boiled its oceans away. It is possible that the Kamoomga's excessive production started this drastic climate change before the Rakata arrived. Nonetheless, this change split the indigenous Kamoomga into two races, the Gorfas and the Jawas." Close quote. So, climate change. Production from the native inhabitants seem to have began this shift, mixed with continuous orbital bombardment, enough to change the very nature of nature, boiling Tatooine's oceans away. Again, this is Legends. I would suspect that if this is ever going to be explored in canon, there will be a very similar story. After all, both the Kamoomga and the Rakata have a presence in the canon timeline of Star Wars. Smaller, much smaller than their footprint in the Legends timeline, but they are there. And when it comes to the canon description of why Tatooine became a hot desert world, as of right now, it's simply unknown reasons. But this is science fiction.
Star Wars is not science fiction.
Hey, Star Wars is not science fiction.
Science fiction is often filled with lessons of warnings that jump off the page or the screen, yell at the audience, whether it be warnings about government, technology, society, production, war, or climate. And I would suspect that the tale of Tatooine's climate will be further explored as a warning to us, as it was in Legends.